We are live. Happy Saturday. I hope you're all having a great Saturday. And it's a privilege to be back here with you after, let's see, the last time I did a live video was somewhere well, no, I did one 2 weeks ago. I guess I did on Instagram. But the last time I did one, this, using this multi-streaming and all that kind of thing was when I started Reset Transform Rise about 5 years ago now. Yeah. So a lot of things have changed since then. A lot of progress has been made. As a lot of you know, I'm now I'm not just a coach, I'm a mental health therapist as well. And so this is not therapy. I have to make sure I give my disclaimer. This is not intended to be therapy. This is for entertainment purposes only. This is not a replacement for professional therapy. And if you are in crisis, please call 911 or visit a hospital. Because if you're in crisis, this isn't the place for you to receive the best help. However, on Saturdays, that said, I like to check in with folks and just find out how you're doing. Feel free to ask questions in the chat. Send me a message about whatever you are vibing on. I'm not going to necessarily know. I don't know that I'm going to know whether I'm receiving messages or not. I'm trying to figure that out right now. So if you've got a message, drop it into the chat and hopefully I will see it. I'm trying to see it. Let's put it that way. That said, like what's going on with you right now? Are you having a good Saturday? Are you finding your way in this world? Like, how are things? I will share with you that I'm in a place of transition right now with a new job, and it's taking a little bit in order to be sure I'm doing things right, and so that requires, as you might guess, a certain amount of humility, right? And the humility part is really super important to remember that we are in a place of constant flux, constant change, constant evolution, and that can be challenging. That can be disconcerting, and it is for me too, because we're all human. I'm human, and so one of the things that I am working on really hard is how do I practice competently and get all of my ducks in a row without having imposter syndrome show up, because imposter syndrome is real, right? And imposter syndrome is something that affects a lot of people. Affects me. It affects a lot of my friends, a lot of my colleagues in therapy and coaching talk about imposter syndrome and how to normalize the reality that we have imposter syndrome. That's something that I've been dealing with a lot lately, and it's a normal thing. I dealt with it when I worked in politics too, and I remember when I started in talk radio, I really had it bad. I really had a bad case of imposter syndrome, and did not like did not like the sense that I was supposed to present a certain way and was not presenting that way. That was challenging for me. I also at the time was navigating a pretty serious addiction problem, and that didn't help, right? So the reality of that stuff is pretty serious. So that's something that's on my mind today. Also, just I thought I'd share with you something that I'm reading. Hang on, I'll go get it. I'm working on reading a new book right now that is really, really good. And I didn't know that it was. This book is almost 10 years old. The Joy of Living: Unlocking the Secret and Science of Happiness by Yongey Mingyur Rinpoche, who is a Buddhist monk who collaborated with the University of Wisconsin on the effects of meditation on brain patterns and on neurology. And the neurology piece is really interesting. He goes in depth here about how the lineup is between Buddhist science, ancient Chinese science, and the way Buddhism looks at processing things and thinking, emptiness, attachment. And for those of you who don't know, there are three basic fundamental aspects of Buddhism that are looked at in the sense of mental health. The first is ignorance. And so if you don't know that you are ignorant, you're not going to know that you're not enlightened, right? And so ignorance can be everything from acting out in behaviors that are not helpful, repeating patterns that are not helpful, being a certain sort of way with people that puts people off, and not understanding why you're repeating those patterns over and over again. And if you don't know that you are operating at a low frequency, if you don't know that you are approaching the world in this negative frame, you're sitting in ignorance, right? You've got blinders on. Second is attachment, and that's the perception of self separate from others. And the Buddhist belief system is that everyone is experiencing things all at once, and we are all part of the same experience, right? And so what that means metaphysically is I am you, you are me, we are all the same, we are all one, right? And that concept of we are all one is something that is very difficult for some folks to grasp. And in fact, wars have been fought over this, right? So the idea that one group of people is different and therefore separate from the rest of people, or that that you are not as worthy of existence as I am, or my priorities in my life are more important than yours. All of those things are forms of separation, right? And when we are practicing in this separation and attaching ourselves to certain ideas and certain values and certain aspects, we are harming ourselves. Plain and simple, we're harming ourselves. And we may not know that we're harming ourselves. We may not be aware that we are harming ourselves. We may feel, I'm just doing what's best for me. And in the reality is we are harming ourselves while we're harming other people by creating that separation. So that's the second aspect that he talks about in this book. And then the third is aversion, and that's avoidance, right? Aversion, this need to live independently, exist independently. One of the things that really bugs the hell out of me about prepper mentality in the case of today's current global calamity, crisis, challenges, existence of separation and feelings of hatred. And you can take this all the way from religion to political aspects to war. This idea that we have to maintain our own separation, and that by being apart from the herd, we are going to survive. And our food that we've stockpiled, and our bug out kit, and our bug out vehicle, and our bunker are going to save us, and our guns are going to save us. And the reality is, like, we're going to need interdependence to make it. We are not intended as physical beings living a spiritual experience to be, we're spiritual beings living a physical existence. We're not intended as spiritual beings who are part of one consciousness to be separated from that consciousness. And so this idea that we can prep our way out of a calamity and we'll be the 0.00111% of people who survive and make it out alive, that's just not, it's not spiritual reality, but it's also not healthy, right? And so that mentality troubles me. I am more of the mindset that in today's world that is so tumultuous, that this is a lesson for us to practice our presence. It's a lesson for us to practice what we preach. And if we're folks who believe in connection and believe in creating connection and maintaining connection and being connected, if we want to take care of the people who we love in our life, then we have to practice what we preach on that. And that is not a natural instinct for some folks. It's hard. It's hard for some folks to accept that part. It really is. So some thoughts on that, if you have any. I'm going to check in here real quick and see if our broadcast is actually running the way it's supposed to be. Hopefully it is. The reality is things don't always go as planned, but we're hopefully going to be up and running here. So what's going on with you? Send me a message in the chat. I'm looking right now to see who has sent me anything. I have some notifications, but they're not coming through as messages, so I don't know what that means. Hopefully, you're seeing this as it is coming out. I don't have a way of verifying that until after the fact, but we'll see. You can also pop over to the Reset Transform Rise YouTube page and view and submit comments there if they're not coming through on Facebook. I'm going to look and see on Facebook how this is coming through real quick to make sure it's coming through real quick. One of the things that I'm using this StreamYard software, and one of the things that StreamYard kind of forces you to do is use Chrome, which I'm not a big fan of Chrome. I'll be honest. I kind of hate it. It's not my favorite at all. And, I've had issues with it for a while. Multiple issues with it for a while. Just because it kind of takes over everything. And I hate that. I don't know. I'm having login issues right now with my Mac and Chrome not liking each other. Shocker. Story of my life. So yeah, we don't have it all together today. We're working on it, but things are definitely not where they're supposed to be yet. So I don't know if this is going anywhere or not. We're gonna find out. This may end up being one of those test cases that I end up dumping the video for something more structured later. But it's fun to play, right? It's fun to play with new technologies and figure things out sometimes. It is a beautiful day outside, and I'm not going to stay on a real long time in order to take away my own Saturday afternoon or yours. But moving forward, I will be doing these Saturday vibe checks pretty much every Saturday. I'll put out an announcement on Reset, Transform, Rise before we go live so that people have a chance to connect. And I'll put it out on my personal Instagram and Facebook as well. What I'm finding out is that I don't have enough followers on Reset, Transform, Rise yet in order to tell the algorithm that we can do. Facebook will not let me do live videos on the Reset, Transform, Rise page yet. So that's why I'm doing it on my personal account. This is the way it is right now. And hopefully that will change in the near future, because it's kind of annoying to have this dynamic. I'm not a fan of this dynamic. I'm trying to log in to Facebook from multiple places, and it's not letting me do that. And it's driving me nuts. Well, I'm letting it drive. Let's put that way. I'm letting it drive me nuts right now. So I guess we are up. We are up on Facebook. That's good. And hopefully we're also up on Instagram. I haven't checked that one yet. And I haven't checked the other. But now we're getting some messages through Messenger, but not through the video yet. So, but if you have any, submit a message and let us know. Let us know what's on your mind today. Let me know. Happy to answer. Oh yeah, good. Captionings are up. Captioning is up too. I love that. Yeah, so that's good. That stuff's running. I will take this video and I will post it over on Reset, Transform, Rise also, so that we're kind of in the same box there eventually. And this will be, when I do these will be structured chats, right? So they will not be something where I'm just freelancing on it so much. I want these to be constructive conversations so that we can have a real conversation. And what may happen is I may have to have you do those from the Reset Transform Rise YouTube page for them to go through. Oh, so we've got some echo. Yeah. So that's good. So we are broadcasting on all 3 platforms, on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, which is cool. I think this is the first time I've been able to get it to go through on all 3, maybe. Thanks, StreamYard, for that. So back to the discussion of The Joy of Living, this book, The Joy of Living. When we are averting and when we are putting separation between ourselves and other people, that separation that we create between ourselves and other people harms us. And we're not always aware that it harms us. But anytime, now roll with me here, anytime we separate ourselves from somebody else, anytime that we separate ourselves from an experience with someone else, anytime that we attempt to separate ourselves and our energy from the collective, from the reality that we are part of one consciousness, we are going to do ourselves harm. And our ego does that to us. Our ego tries to get us to separate. Our ego tries to get us to change our relationship with our real beingness, which is a fancy way of saying our ego feeds off of that separation. And when our ego feeds off of that separation, we are going to feel pain. We're going to feel pain from that separation. We're going to feel pain from that experience of separating ourselves from the collective. That's the way it works. Anytime that we separate ourselves from the collective, we're going to feel pain. Sit with that. So if you're out there Lone Rangering it, that's going to be painful for you. I can recount a time when I was Lone Rangering it during my active addiction. I was in denial that I had a problem in the first place. And anybody who tried to point out to me that I may have had a problem, I pushed them away. Just the nature of addiction, also, you begin to descend. I began to descend into this collective experience of isolation, and we tend to roll with that isolation. I am noticing right now that we're not in full definition. Something happening in the other room. I'm sure you guys can hear that. Something happening in the other room. Must be big. Yeah. Oh. It's a real problem, huh? What is it? Cece's having a moment. We knew Cece was going to show up on this somewhere. I did not quite know how, but here we go. CC has shown up in the chat. So when we separate ourselves, okay, all right. There are some things to bark at today. If you have any questions, please submit those questions or those comments in the chat. This is serious. Whatever it is, this is a serious problem. This is a serious problem. Thanks for the like, Brad Walker. Appreciate it. It's good to see you, brother. Wow, Cece, come on, man. Give me a break. Cece will probably come in here and make an appearance at some point. She usually does. Anytime I'm doing therapy sessions, I have to lock her outside the door so that she doesn't interrupt the therapy session. It's fun. So anytime we promote separation between ourselves and somebody else, or a group of people, or ourselves from the collective, we are doing harm to ourselves. And that is a form of ignorance, is a form of attachment to that separation. And it's also a form of aversion, and that is aversion of the energy that drives our connectedness with other people and with our higher consciousness. Some of you call it God, some of you call it universe, some of you call it Yahweh, some of you call it the Great Spirit. Depending on who you are and where you're coming from, you may have a different version of it. But it's that God energy, that higher consciousness energy. That is what I'm talking about. Like when you separate yourself from source. And when you separate yourself from source, you're separating yourself from yourself, from your inner beingness. And so one of the things that Yongey Mingyur Rinpoche talks about is all of these as mental afflictions: ignorance, aversion, attachment. These are all mental constructs that we use to harm ourselves. And I'll tell you, as a clinician, you know, I can take my spiritual hat off and I can go right back to the clinical side of this. In psychology, there is not much difference between what clinical psychology says and Buddhist psychology says about these aspects. That the cure to addiction, the cure to mental health suffering is connection. Now, I think that's oversimplification in some aspect on the clinical side, because I know clients who are plenty connected who still struggle with their mental health. But the question is why they're struggling with their mental health, right? Why are we struggling with this condition that gives us a sense of we're not like the others. We're terminally unique. We are individuals who can only rely upon ourselves. That is one problem I have with prepper mentality as a solution to the world's problems is I'm just going to withdraw, be a hermit, go to my bunker with my guns and my rations and my supplies and my family, and we're going to survive, and we're going to come out the other side just fine. And anybody who comes to our front door, we're going to shoot them in the face. That is that because they're taking our assets, because they want to take our assets, because they want to take our resources. That is a mentality and a separation that you can very easily go down the rabbit hole on that, and it is it's dangerous. It's just plain dangerous. It's not just dangerous for individuals, it's dangerous for countries too. When a country or a leader of a country begins to push through for separation and push through for isolation and creating an island, whether it's through legislation or authoritarian means or executive orders, that is dangerous. We can't exist as a people, as a species, in isolation from each other. We are wired in our beingness to be connected individuals. Now, there are some who want to control others. That is another version of this attachment aspect, the attachment to wanting to control others and control every situation for our own benefit because we are separate from those other people. That is 100% what the monk is talking about here, that we are in this place of separation, isolation, whatever you want to call it, and moving in that direction because leaders of the country think that that's the best way to operate. It isn't. It isn't the best way to operate. And in fact, every time a country goes into this isolationist mode, let's just look at North Korea. The people suffer. When a country goes isolationist, whether it's through leadership or through political divides or religious divides or whatever it is, they suffer. The people suffer. And the country eventually has a downfall. Eventually. Or they go so far into isolation that they're basically removed from the energy of the rest of the world. And that is not a condition that people can exist in for very long. It just isn't. So that's on my mind today. I've been reading this book. I'm about halfway through it right now. Thanks to my friend John S. for turning me on to this book. It's opening my eyes to Buddhist philosophy and into how I operate personally within my relationships, but it's also giving me a different lens into see kind of how to look at the rest of the world. Yeah. So that's our Saturday vibe check. We got the kinks worked out. So next time that I do this, hopefully it will be a little more, I'll have a little less monkeying around. And we'll see you next Saturday. If you have any comments to share after the end of the broadcast, leave them on the Reset Transform Rise Facebook page. Visit the Reset Transform Rise Instagram, or of course you can always hit my Instagram or Facebook. Also, I'll just point out Reset Transform Rise has a YouTube page now, and that YouTube page is going to be a big part of where we share content. Also, as I'm rebuilding the practice, we're gonna experiment with Discord and how to integrate Discord and Twitch into these platforms. I'm not sure if I'm going to be broadcasting on Twitch and Discord or just taking comments or doing some of our coaching platform stuff on there. I haven't gotten that far. I've been using Zoom for so long with clients, but it's kind of outgrowing the capability of the platform for me to do wider stuff. So we're going to figure it out, though. Going to integrate that stuff, and hopefully, as we begin to have a conversation, that these conversations will become something more substantive, where it's a two-way conversation instead of me just talking at you. But if you have a chance, go pick up this book, The Joy of Living by Yongey Mingyur Rinpoche, and it's spelled Yongey Mingyur Rinpoche. Yongey Mingyur Rinpoche, Buddhist monk. You can find it in your bookstores. I think this one came from Majors and Quinn in Minneapolis, which is a great independent bookstore. And as always, we support independent bookstores. Hope you're having a great week and weekend. We'll see you next week. Peace.